Hi guys, in this quick video we'll just go through the 2014 prelims paper and I'll attempt the paper. I will assume that I'm sitting in the exam and I'm attempting the paper. The objective of this video is to just give you a demo of how you could attempt the paper. That's just one way of doing it. Of course, you will have to figure out your own way, but this is something which may serve just as a guidance, and if anything works out for you, if something the approach makes sense to you, then you can adopt whatever you feel is relevant in your case. But of course, the principle of doing the easiest questions first, the most accurate 100% accuracy questions, standard fact questions first, and then only moving to the more complex ones. This principle will always stand true for everyone, whether it is you or whether it is me, right? So let us just go through this question paper. I'll just turn my timer on just to see how much time it is taking. Okay, so I've started it, and so I'll be opening the paper and I will move through it. Okay, so I'll just scroll. I'll come directly to the questions. Now my way of selecting the questions, the ones I want to do in round one, is to just look at the question, and if it is too long, if the statements are too complex, simply if the question is too long, basically I'll just leave it for the later rounds. I'll not even read the question. I want the short, very direct questions in the first round. So first question is too long for me. Second again is too long. The options are too long. Third, okay, short question, 10-degree channel. Then I'll read it carefully, right? So initially I just looked at the size of the question, short, then I looked at the keyword 10-degree channel, then I will read the question, and then I'll solve it, mark in the OMR. It's a simple question, it can be marked in the OMR directly. It's a level 1, it's a round 1 question. So this whole thing, like in this particular question, it will take hardly like 10 to 15 seconds. In some comparatively more complex round 1 questions, it may take 20 seconds, 30 seconds also. So on an average, we can say 20 seconds per question, like that we can give. So I will mark the third question in the first round. Fourth question, we have seen these kind of questions are tricky, like the match the following kind of questions. We'll do it later. Fifth question, okay, BNHS. I'll just underline BNHS, I'll move ahead. It's too long. Okay, Global Environment Facility. Again, options too long, I'll move ahead. Okay, this photovoltaics, too long. Okay, this sounds good. Okay, simple, known words in that classical language. Then I'll read the question and I'll mark it, right? This is a level 1 question, round 1 question basically. And I'll mark it in probably say 20 odd seconds. Next one, I'll do it later. Next one, Wetlands International, later. Next, BRICS, okay. First summit, later I'll do. Okay, the moment I see anything ET related, the moment I see anything which is not pure standard fact, I'll just push it for later. Then diphtheria, okay, this is something. Diphtheria is a herd disease, chickenpox, smallpox, herd disease, and eradicated, right? This is something which can be done. So if you have that clear, confident knowledge, you can do it in the first round. If you feel that you may want to think about it later, you can do it in the later round. So here I'm assuming I'll not do it in the first round. Then, okay, again, 13th question, short statements, and it is saying influence. It's a good question, but for the second round, not for the first one. 14th question, again, just river, dolphin, okay, later, too long this question is. Then 15, yes, Radcliffe, herd name, all options also are short and direct. I'll do it in the first round itself. Okay, 15th question. Similarly, 16th, brominated, I'll do it later. 17th, okay, all herd but hibernation, but again, these kind of questions, generally non-standard, tricky questions, these could be, I'll think about it later. Largest committee, yes, this is a theme which is repeated, PYQs multiple times. This thing has been there. All of these are, most of these are heard also. Petitions is unheard. So this is a fairly doable question, right? Round 1 question. I'll mark it in round 1. Then, okay, carbon cycle, I'll do it later. 21, I'll do it later. Then 21, Matra particular, later. Lichens. Okay, this is something I can do in round 1. Very direct options, very doable options. If you feel you will need to think about it, then put it in the other rounds, but ideally it's a round 1 question, right? Very knowledge heavy, very clear standard fact NCERT question. So I'm marking it for round 1. And 23, okay, we'll do it later. 4 later, 5 later, 6 later. 7, sales tax, okay, seemingly doable question, but eco question generally requires some processing. I'll do it later. Venture capital, okay, again I'll do it later. Main objective, 12th plan, okay, this is a kind of question which should be done in the first round. Very short direct statements and simple questions, so I'm assuming that I will do it in the first round. 30th question, okay, current account, I'll think about it later, like it's a multi-statement long question. Then again 31st later. 32nd bank sathi, okay, later. SRR, too long a question, I'll do it later. 34th, originally started from Arab Spring, right? So this may need a little bit of thinking. Next, Arctic Council, again doable question, but later. These kind of questions later. 37th later. 38th later. 39, Changpa, okay, later. 40th, Goa later, right? Then 41st, Coral Reefs. This is a very doable question, but it's a long one. Who has a good grip over static part and your basic books? Surely there's a doable question, but otherwise you can think about it later also. Then 42nd question, we'll do problem, sorry, we'll do them later. This kind of question could be tricky. Yes, this is very simple. Seasonal reversal, characteristic, like this. All of these are very heard options, right? So we'll do it in the first round itself. Then 44th, Panchayatan, do it later. Barak Suban, okay, Arunachal, probably later. 46 later. 47 short, but probably I'll do it later. Okay, not form in complex ways. Then cardamom, okay, I'll do it later. Okay, this is all heard, and then I'll go through the question. Anti-defection, I'll read the question and mark it. Okay, first round question. Most important strategy, subjective thing, I'll do it later. Turkey is located. If you have confidence of mapping, it's a surely level 1 round 1 question, but if you want to think about it, maybe you can do it in subsequent rounds also. 52nd, surely later round question. 53rd, big question, later. Satyameva Jayate, okay, later, I don't know. Probably I may even decide, okay, I don't want to attempt this question itself, because all these names are unheard. If everything is unheard and if there's not much scope in the question, just cancel it out. It's a question you will skip. Otherwise, if something is heard, something is unheard, you may feel, okay, I could do anything, maybe connecting the dots kind of thing later. Then you may want to do in the final round, last round, certainly not in the second round. Then 55th, okay, preamble, DPS, okay, everything is heard, then I'll read the question, everything will make sense, I will do in the first round itself. 56, similarly, it's a long question actually, so I'll do it later. 57th, long. 58, long. 59th, long. Constitutional government, okay, very good question, I'll do it actually in the second round. Then governor, okay, discretionary powers of governor. If this question is not having any complex statement, if everything is there from Lakshmikant, it becomes a very doable standard fact question. You can do it in round 1. So you'll have to read the question actually. So this may even take a minute or so. So sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes a minute if it is a long question. That's all right. But it should be a short kind of question. So it says, the first one says sending report, okay, imposing president rule, surely Lakshmikant, appointing ministers, surely Lakshmikant, reserving certain bills, Lakshmikant, making the rules to conduct, Lakshmikant, right? So I will do it in the first round itself. Like the length of the question, even if it is long, but if it is directly from the standard books, it can be done in round 1. So that is there. The 61st, okay, interest rate, I'll have to think about it. 62nd, president, executive, okay. Then I'll read it, okay. Like the first word that caught my attention was president, then second statement, all executive action. So feels like something could be done. Then I'll read the statements more carefully, shall make rules for the conduct of business, etc., etc. Okay. Second statement, all actions shall be taken in the name. So nothing complex is there, nothing non-standard is there. I will take a call in this question in the first statement, first round itself. Okay, so I'll give it probably a minute or so, or 30 seconds. Actually, it's a 30 seconds question at max. Then no confidence motion, okay, heard. Then I'll say, okay, no mention of no confidence. Okay, there's a preparable, doable. Then second statement also similarly, and it's a 2-statement question. I'll do it in the first round itself. Okay. And then I'll move to the next one, okay, name tree later. Then 65th, photosynthesis. These kind of questions are pretty tricky, right? Because if something is asking a very direct concept, then what statement question or whatever, multi-statement question also, 2-statement question, these can be tricky, so do them later. 66th, okay, iris scanning, okay, this surely ET question, we'll do it later. vegetative propagation, long question, do it later. 60th current affairs, do it later. 70th, okay, chemical change, okay, probably later. Supreme Court heard, then appellate, okay, jurisdiction all heard. Then I'll read the question, invest again 10-15 seconds, mark it, right? 20 seconds question it is, do it in round 1. Then 72nd, okay, budding grafting, will do it later, maize later, okay. These kind of questions, waggle dance kind of questions, they are doable but require some processing, so we'll do it later. Next, President, Parliament, okay, Law Commission, all heard. Then power to increase number of judges. I'll read the question carefully and I'll mark it, right? 75th question in round 1 only. Then, okay, these are on something heard, something unheard later. Okay, this is a question which I find pretty difficult, so I may want to put a small cross. Maybe I'll do it in the last round or never at all, right? Then, okay, long question, we'll do it later. Earth hour, doable question, but second round probably. Food chain, slightly complex question, I'll do it later. 81st, okay, partition, 1905 Curzon, Bengal, right? Very doable, and all the options also. Then I'll invest 20 seconds in this question and solve it. Okay, heard, okay, Indian National Congress, okay, heard. Significance, freedom movement, and all options also are pretty heard, so I will do it in the first round. 83rd, Kshatriya dance later. 84th, Chaitra 1. Okay, this is something which may need processing. I may not know it also, so I'll put it for the very last. Okay, I'll just put a cross. Then this will be done later. Okay, Gadar, okay, heard. And then if you read all heard, I will do it in the first round itself. Then Kalari Petu probably later. This later. 89th later. Okay, Tabo Monastery, etc. Like, feels like a bit difficult, but I'll not be taking a call right now. We'll read it in more detail later. Then 90th, okay, Bijak probably later. So the point is, you read one word. If you know it, read the question. If you don't know it, just leave it, okay, for the next round. So Manganyar later. Queen Victoria 1858, right? 1857, Queen Victoria Proclamation, all of these things are heard. Then read the statements, everything will be heard. You will be able to do it in the first round itself. So again, probably a minute you can give to this question. Ibadat Khana, if you have read NCRTs well, this is a very doable question. If not, maybe later you can do. 94th, again, long question. 95th, eco-sensitive, okay, later. Then 96th, long question. 97th, may know, may not know. And by now, you know that no other question was really talking about scurvy and all of these. So very little chance that this question is repeated in any other question. So probably put a small cross, do it at the very end. If you know it, it's like a 10 seconds question. But if you don't know it, maybe you may have to leave it also. 98th later. 99th, World Economic Outlook. Ideally should be done in round 1. Very important report it is, and you should know. Then it's 100th question, which is your long question. So maybe later only, right? So I've taken like 7 minutes actually. 7 minutes 53 seconds. Let's take it as 8 minutes now. So see, in 8 minutes I've explained also everything. I've done like all that, what I want to do, what not. So all of that combined also, let's take worst case scenario, 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, how many questions have we done? Okay, let us just count. So this is the first question. Let's just count the ticks. This is first, then second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 questions, right? So, and we have left actually many questions which could be otherwise done also. So worst case scenario in this paper, in 10 minutes also, ideally it's 8 minutes only, but in 10 minutes you have done 19 questions or 20 questions, let us just round it off. It's a great accuracy, right? It's a great score. In 10 minutes you've got like 40 marks under your belt, 38 marks under your belt, and you will be in a great mood. You will be in a confident mind, right? Your confidence will start to increase. Now again, in the second round, let us see how you could have approached the question. So let's just again start reading the questions which were more known, like this kind of question, like where we have to just take a call, because now we have gone through the whole paper once. We know what question roughly deals with what, and in the whole paper we know that there's no question which kind of dealt with these things, right? There's no repetition of this information. So now this becomes a black and white question. Either I want to do it or I don't want to do it. If I have the answer to this, I'll mark it. If I don't have the answer, if the options also are not helping, so it will take roughly say about 1.5 to 2 minutes in the second round. So just take a call whether you know it or you don't. I'm assuming we don't know it, so I'll leave the question. Okay. Then let's see what else makes sense. Okay, BNHS. So this was underlined. So this is something that we may want to do in the second round. Just go through the statements, how good the statements feel. Autonomous organization, environment ministry strives to conserve. Okay, this is a simple kind of statement. Strives to conserve nature. Okay, so words have meaning. I'll see. Okay, organizes nature camps. This is a question you may do in the second round, or you may feel, okay, I'll do it in the third round. Not an issue, right? Photovoltaics, long question, probably third round. Global environment facility, if you know it, okay. If you not know it, maybe third round. Okay. Dampa, again, this kind of question, just take a call. Whether you know it or you don't, you know that there's no other question which is talking about this kind of information, so there's no repetition for sure. And if you are good at mapping, if you can remember stuff, mark it. If you're not, just leave it. So I'm assuming that you don't know it, and it's just leave it, leave the question. Next, Wetlands International. Okay, we'll talk about it later. This 11th question, BRICS question. So this is a question which you may want to do in the second round, because the second statement is pretty simple. Like everybody would know the second statement. The first statement you can think, okay, first summit held in this. If you have trained in ET, this is a question certainly which requires you judgment, which requires you ET thinking. If you want to do the first statement, you can do it. Like it's a pretty doable question. But if you feel, okay, I want some more confidence, then just move ahead and do it later. Okay. Yes, this is a question which surely can be done in round 2, and this is a question which should be done correctly in round 2. There's no room for error in this question. Okay, it's a mix of knowledge. You may even have pure knowledge of this question, or a little bit of thinking also will help. So this question should be done in round 2. Next, again, this question, very short statements and influenced only. It is saying evolution, very broad things. So second round, direct answer mark karo iska. Okay. 14th question, again, Gangetic River dolphin, herd topic, important topic, construction of dams. Just read the question, what it is saying. What are the possible reasons, right? So, construction of dams and barrages on rivers, okay, increase the population of crocodiles, right, getting trapped. So, this is a question which you can just see. If you feel comfortable in it, you may want to do it. If you feel, okay, let me go through the list and then just pick out, the ones which are more doable, you may do it later also. But for me, I probably would do it in the second round, or at max the third round. Brominated flame retardants, too uncomfortable for me, I'll do it later. Like I would say, by uncomfortable, I mean I've not heard that term frequently enough. It's not something which is getting repeated from PYQs also, so I would do it later. Yes, hibernation. This is a question which you can surely do in the second round. It's a doable question, should be done correctly in the second round, right? Then let's just see, carbon cycle, again, something which can be done in the second round, I'm assuming. And this is a question you should be doing correctly. Right, this question is not a second round question, right? Even if the statements seem to be fairly understandable, but surely the description is such long, do it later only. This will require some thinking. These kind of questions, unheard terms from history, right? Do later. Second round, these are not the questions to be touched. Yes, this is something you may do in round 2 because all terms are heard. If you've read the NCRTs, if you've read the PYQs, all these terms, all these species are heard, and the question also is very soft. If you're like likely, etc., these kind of words are there. So this is a question you should be doing correctly. Right? It's an easy question. So 23rd also you should be doing. Then some important pollutants, steel industry. Again, surely a second round question. All pollutants like are heard only, right? So you can do it accurately in round 2. Buddha, okay, this history question generally requires some knowledge, so not a second round question. Again, too much description, we'll do it later. Yes, this is a economy questions, right? These are questions which can be done very accurately with a little bit of, just a little bit of thinking, right? So this is a question surely you should be doing correctly in round 2. Venture capital, again doing in round 2. 30th question, again this is a knowledge question, balance of trade assets, invisible, special drawing. It's a question you should be surely doing in round 2. 31st, marginal standing. Okay, these terms kind of questions. This is a doable question because marginal standing, facility rate, net demand and time liabilities, right? Time deposits, demand draft, like demand deposits kind of thing. Those are terms which you know that banking operations ke around hote hain. But if it were a more complex question, probably later. But here you can see banking, you can see the options. If they make easy, if they appear easy to you, then read the question. If it is easy, you may do it. Otherwise, you may put it for the next round also if you feel more thinking is needed. Bank Sathi, more thinking. It's something too unknown, too random. Do it in the next round only. In the second round, reserve it for things which are easy, which are either easy from knowledge angle or easy from ET angle. Right? Statutory reserve requirement, too many statements. Later, 34th statement, Arab Spring originally started later. Okay. Arctic Council. This is a question that you can do in round 2. It's a fairly doable question. That organization of Turkic states question or Afghanistan bordering questions, Caspian Sea bordering questions. These kind of questions are fairly regular. Arctic Council, an important body, should be done in round 2. Even the 36th question, Chechnya, Darfur, right? Russian, Mali, Iraq. All of these names are heard, all of these countries are heard. Surely a doable question. If you have done mapping, this is a question round 2 for sure, hands down. Okay, Agni 2, heard topic, right? You may do it in second on surface to surface. Okay, liquid propellant only. Okay, deliver this. Okay, a little bit of SFUW, a little bit of like this thing question, but there's a question, the topic is heard and the statements are fairly simple. Surely you can do it in round 2. Okay, then shale gas, coal bed, methane, probably later because the name themselves and statements are long. So complex nahi karna hai, simple hona chahiye pehle. Okay, 39th you may do it because statements are short, so easy to process. Even if it is about something random, but the statements are short and processable. So if you can read the statement, maybe 20-30 seconds you can invest the question in just reading it once. If it appears doable, you may invest another minute or so in the question and mark the answer. If not, maybe leave it for the next round. Guar, too much description, we'll do it later. Okay, 41st question, surely second round question, right? Very bookish, like NCRT level. Do it in the second round. 42nd, it says soil erosion is associated with. Okay, these kind of questions can be a little bit tricky. We'll do it later. 44th, Panchayatan. Okay, let's just keep it for the next round. 45th, okay, Arunachal. Surely a second round question. Okay, you should be knowing all rivers are very famous. Arunachal Pradesh mapping, you should know, should be done in the second round. Okay, this again is a question which should be done surely in second round, or it could be even a first round question if your mapping is good. Okay, next is 47th. This also is a second round question. It's a black and white question, either you know it or you don't. I'm assuming, okay, you don't know the question. Okay, if you know it, great, it's a direct question. Hills region, simple question, very doable, round 2 question. Then 50, most important strategy, maybe a little bit of thinking would be needed. Turkey, yes, this is surely a second round question. This is, let's do it later. Then when I say later, how did I decide? Bangkok, Hanoi. Okay, too much unheard things are there in the question, so I'll do it later. So basically, I'm deciding to do a question based on how many words are catching my eye in the question. If what my eyes are going to make sense to me, if they are easy, if they are short, the statements, then I will do it. If they are not, then I'll do it later, right? So for this, you need to look at the questions repeatedly. You need to do the PYQs repeatedly, and this constant exposure to PYQs is going to help you decide in the exam very quickly. Okay, this is a question I've heard, this is a topic I have not heard, right? So I'll do it now, I'll do it later. So that judgment will be faster and more accurate. So here the 53rd question, 2 degree, 3 degree, it feels okay, I'll do it probably later. 54th, I don't know, so I've cancelled it out in the first round itself. I'll not read about it next time. 56th, to some program, and I may feel okay, I'm not, by my experience of ET, these kind of questions are not very high in accuracy, so I'll probably do it later. 57th, later, tricky, these kind of questions are tricky, right? Too many names here, and something similar also, so we'll think about them later. Cabinet Secretariat. This is a question, gray zone kind of question. You may do it in the second round, you may do it later also. I'm assuming that you would probably want to do it later. Yes, surely, 59, surely a second round question, and must be done accurately, okay? It has been repeated multiple times, should be done accurately. Then 61st, yes, economy question, simple direct question, should be done in round 2 and correctly also. Then 64th, later, too many statements and about a new species. We'll do it later. Photosynthesis later. Just put a cross actually with photosynthesis. This would be amongst the riskiest question. Could be amongst the riskiest questions. So we'll do it later. Then yes, this is a question. This is a question that can be done because science and tech question, application based question, right? So just read it, invest maybe a minute and a half, and just mark it. Okay, level 2 question. Then round 2. I mean, 67 says. Regarding vegetative propagation in plants. Okay, maybe if it feels too general science level, general science like, and maybe it doesn't have much links with PYQs also, do it probably in the later rounds. Then 68th, okay. Now this is a question which can be done surely in the second round. Just see quickly the names of the spacecraft. Okay, some may be heard, some may be unheard, and then read the purposes. If it makes sense to you, it's a black and white question. Either you will do it correctly, or you will know that this question, some things I don't know. So if the options are helping, great. But if the options are not helping, I'm assuming in this question, for example, the options are not helping, so I will leave the question. Even if I'm left with just 2 options, like I eliminated 2 options are left, I will leave the question because it's a very preparable standard fact question. But since it is in a match the following kind of format, and I don't have a reason to pick one option amongst the 2 remaining ones, I will leave the question. I will not just mark the question indiscriminately. Okay, similar approach in this question. I'll feel okay, regions, more of the question is unheard than heard. Like I would say 70% of the question is unheard for me, 30% only is heard. So I probably would not take a call in this question. I'll just leave the question. Okay. Then yes, this is a question, chemical change, like very simple thing. You will understand what is chemical change, what is physical change, and then just read it. It's a very doable question, maybe a minute or at max a minute and a half. Then techniques, phenomena, budding and grafting. This is a question surely level 2 question, right? Because everything is understandable, it's simple, words are meaning kind of thing, and it says transgenic, so doable question. So you can do it accurately. Then 73rd, again a question which can be done: maize, all extracted alcoholic. So the simple statements, and like this is the easy ET kind of question, so I'll do it in the second round. This will feel, I'll read it again in the second round, not belong to the other 3, and if I cannot make out in probably say a minute or so, I may decide to, like for me personally, I will leave it because I really can't differentiate how the other 3 are different from any one of these, right? So it seems like it requires some background knowledge, but it might be such simple that if somebody has that simple knowledge, this is a very doable question. Then in that case, it could be even a level 1 question. For me, it is too difficult, so I'll just leave the question. Next is, okay, traditional sarees. Probably I'll do it later. And this question I will leave. I'll read again. Okay, NH46, like too complex for me. I'll just leave the question. I'll not be indiscriminate. I'll not take much risk. So I'll just save my time. Maybe I decided this, that I'll leave the question in 10 seconds, right? I'll not be risking the question. Then, okay, international agreements, plant genetic, okay, what is the question? Have a bearing on, very directly, like if I've done the practice of PYQ, this is a doable question, right? 1, 2, 3 should be the answer because of bearing on. Earth Hour, yes, doable. Initiative of what? Movement, and a very, very doable question. Maybe invest 1.5 to 2 minutes, it will be done. This could be a tricky question because all these terms are, or most of these terms like diatoms you have heard, crustaceans you have heard, herrings may have heard, may not have heard, depending how well you have read. But this is a question which will require a fairly good grip of the concept. So this could be a very easy question also, it could be a pretty difficult question also, but it's not a medium level question. So it's a very black and white kind of question on the extremes. If you feel it's easy, could be done in round 2 for sure, or even round 1 if you are very confident. But if you feel it's difficult, like I feel probably it's a difficult question, so I'll just leave the question. Too general science-ish vibe I'm getting. So I may probably leave it. But if you know that diatoms, like, a little bit of knowledge actually is needed. So if you have it, do it. If you don't have it, leave it. 81st, okay, I've done. Second, I've done. Okay, 83, Satriya dance. Probably later. Some things in the statements I feel are too complex. Then Chaitra, okay, this is, I'll just take a call on this because I'll put a cross. It is a black and white question, either too doable or too difficult. So Chaitra 1, I don't know. Then of national calendar based on Saka corresponds to which of the following Gregorian calendar. So if I know, I'll mark it. If I don't know, I'll leave it. I don't know it, so I'll leave the question. Then 85th question, okay. This is a doable kind of question because the site names are all heard, and then the description if we read, if you know it, you will get the answer. If you don't know it, then probably you may want to keep it for later also, because would have heard generally words and meaning would have heard, like ET can help in these kind of questions. But of course, if you have absolutely no idea, then leave the question. I'm assuming I have no idea. I'll leave the question. Okay, Gadar, okay, I've done it. Kalari pair 2. Ideally, we should be doing it. It's a textbook based question, and I think it's not given in NCERT, but in your other reference books it would be given. So if you know it, do it. But if you don't know it, still there's a chance that you could do it because the options are pretty big, right? So, and if you just generally, if you just glance at the options, Bhakti, Shaivism, Bronze, right, Malabar, like the words will feel familiar. So probably you can take a call later on this question, right? Maybe it would be possible. Then Garba, Gujarat, everybody knows. Mohiniyattam, Odisha, like these kind of question, something's heard, something's unheard. You may take a call whether you know it or you're not, and just be on one side. So I'm assuming I don't know it, I'll not do the question. Okay, this question again very similar to the previous one. Buddhist sites are asked. Okay, I don't know it, I'll leave it, because if I don't know anything in the question, then even the options won't help, right? So I don't know anything, I'll leave the question. 90th Bichak, okay, Dadudayal, important chain given in NCERT, and there's an information which is given in NCERT actually. So you should know, like it's a very direct, preparable, standard fact kind of information. And then philosophy of Pushtima propounded by again Madhavacharya, should know. So this is a question, it's a very black and white kind of question, either you know it or you don't, and decide this in round 2 itself. So if I don't know it, I'll decide, okay, I don't want to do it, I don't know this question. Manganiyar, not heard, but generally this kind of questions are doable by ET, but I'll do it later. Ibadat Khan, okay, this is something which I may do because this is given in NCERT. Fatehpur Sikri is given all the statements also, they're not like very long kind of statements. So I'll just think about it. It may need a little bit of thinking and recollection of your information, but it's a doable question. It's an easy question. I'm assuming you will do it correctly in the second round. There's no need to shift this question to the later rounds. Seed replacement rates, okay, I'll do it probably later. 90-50, yeah, this is a question of the second round, right? SFUW and all of that simple information is given. You can take a call and solve it correctly. Then 96th, okay, it gives you again something you can take a call on. It is a borderline case, second round, third round, depending on how comfortable you feel in exam. Let's just for now assume that we'll do it in the third round. 97th question, again I'll have a look at, because it's otherwise a very black and white, doable, preparable question. If I've gone through the paper already twice, I know that there's no other question having this kind of information, and if I feel that my chances of recalling this exact information is less, if I don't know anything in the question, none of the vitamins and none of the diseases I can match. If I could match anything, then I could just help see if the options are helping. But if they are not, which in this case they don't seem to be, I'll decide, okay, I'll leave the question. I don't know it, don't worry about it, just leave it. 98th, nanoparticles of some chemical elements used by the industry. Why? Okay. This is a second round question. You can do it in round 2 because it's a fairly doable question. Maybe it may take 2 minutes, kind of like 1.5 to 2 minutes, but if you read the statements, they are simple enough, understandable enough. So I'll feel, okay, this is a kind of doable question. So I'll take a call in the second round. 99th, I've already done. 100th, non-plan expenditure. Okay, this is a conceptual thing, and if I go through the list, all of these are heard. So I will surely take a call in this question in the second round. I'm assuming that this question will be circled. So in the second round, let us see how many questions we could mark. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 29 questions, right? So 19 questions we did in round 1, 29 we did in round 2. So it's about 48 questions, right? So 48 questions, and I didn't actually time how much the second round took, but I think it would be probably around, say, 20 odd minutes. I would be talking 20-25 odd minutes perhaps. So let's take it 30 minutes, right? So 30 minutes in the second round and 10 minutes in the first round, 40 minutes into the exam and 48 questions. 40 minutes into the exam and 48 questions we have marked, out of which 19 questions are sure shot correct, and out of 48, if mare se mara kitna yaar, 44, 43, 44, so should be correct, right? Let's just take your accuracy to be 85-ish percentage, right? So let's take 40 correct and 19 correct. So it's almost like क्या numbers गलत हो गए, 48 total थे, 19 and 29, right? So out of 29, let's say if we are having 80%, 24 correct, 80% accuracy होनी ही चाहिए. It's mandatory that you should be having 80% accuracy in round 2, at least 80% accuracy. So 24 correct there and 19 correct here. So 44 questions are already correct. Some say, let's say 7 odd questions are wrong in total. So we have already done 50 questions. We are at a very good accuracy level, and overall, like, how many marks are we getting at this stage? you have 44 correct and 6 wrong. So 132, 42, 40, 84 marks. 84 marks already are there in your kitty right now, right? So you are very comfortable in very comfortable position. It's hardly 1 hour in the exam. You're already scoring say about 80, 84, 85 marks, and you have 50 questions left. You have more than 1 hour left. So it's a very comfortable position, and now you can be like you will be in a pretty good mental position. So when you do it in the next round, which is the third round, then you be careful with the question. Here you will need to do like the longer kind of questions. Generally the multi-statement questions were more doable with the options given. If the multi-statement questions do not have that kind of options given, then you be careful with which questions you pick, right? So here, for example, if we are entering the third round, sustainable sugarcane initiative, okay, words have meaning, and if I read the question, so overall, like now I'm not going to go through all the questions again, and then that it is getting more and more complex, because now more individual proficiency in elimination will count. But in the third round, just be careful with the kind of questions that you are doing. Generally words have meaning. Generally the questions which have more information have a higher chance of being correct. The lesser the amount of information in a question, the more difficult, the more tricky it can be at this stage, right? So like sustainable sugarcane initiative, okay, you can read the statements. If they feel doable, mark it. If you feel okay, nahi ye baat nahi banegi, do it later. So here your practice of PYQs also will be very important. So that is why doing the questions repeatedly, doing the traps repeatedly, having a record of what kind of questions went wrong, subject wise, question type wise, like multi-statement, one statement, two statement questions, right? So what kind of accuracy do you have in different subjects and across different question types, across different traps? That is going to help you decide. Like for example, I will feel that okay, sustainable sugarcane initiative is a question which is non-standard enough, random enough that I will feel comfortable with the question. So I'll probably do this first question in round 3. Okay, then I'll just move ahead. Wetlands, Montreux's record, one statement question in round 3. Like these generally would take a longer time than multi-statement questions. So maybe like you may want to just see the multi-statement questions first. So BNHS I'll do in round 3 for sure, right? Photovoltaics, this question I'll do in the third round. Okay, this one statement I'll do later. Then Wetlands International I'll do. Okay, BRICS question I'll do, right? Just go through brominated, थोड़ा सा मुझे risky लग रहा है ये. This one surely I'll do 14th question. Okay, I'll do this 20th later, then particular later. Okay, this also later, 25th, this 26th also later. Okay, this is a question for sure I'm going to mark in the third round, because this is not a question to be pushed to the fourth round. Okay, Bank Sati I'll do in round 3, Arab Spring maybe later, statutory, this I'll do in round 3. Okay, then Changpa I'll do in round 3. Coal bed methane, 2 statement question, syllabus related, probably I'll do it later, or even in round 3 if you want to read it you can go through it, but I'll put it for round 4. Gwar I'll put for later, then Panchayatan later, soil erosion. Okay, this is something which I may want to do in round 3. Simple enough question, all things heard, I can take a call in the third round itself. Right, next is, yes, this is surely a question, most important strategy, all these things are heard and like simple enough, I'll take a call in round 3. This question is actually doable in round 3. It's not a very difficult question, but you need to know actually which all countries do these cities belong. So if you have a fairly decent idea about mapping, you may do this question. If not, then just cancel this question, or that you don't want to do it, you will leave it. Okay, this is a question, terrestrial widespread. Okay, this is a question which can be done in round 3, right? Integrated watershed development program, benefits of implementing. Maybe round 3, maybe round 4, kind of like it's a gray zone kind of question. So I'll just put it in round 4. Planning in India, I'll put it in round 4. Yeah, this is a question, cabinet secretariat. Okay, this question I will do in round 3. Okay, doable enough question, simple enough statements, I'll do in round 3. Then neem tree, surely I'll do in round 3. Photosynthesis, difficult enough, like put it for last. Don't want to get my mind all entangled because of that. This is a question which you may want to do in round 3. If reading it doesn't really, you don't get that vibe, maybe just put it for round 4, not an issue. Then just move ahead. All right, traditional sarees. This is a question you can take a call in round 3 whether you want to attempt or not. For example, I will just leave the question. Too standard factish, like too much knowledge element I'll feel in this question. I'll just go through the options once. If like Chanderi, Kanchipuram for sure, at max 1 option or 2 option. I don't think even 2 options will get eliminated. 1 ही eliminate हो रहा है ना, 3 वही कह रहा हूँ, बहुत simple enough है, but then ultimately वो फिर थोड़ा सा risky हो सकता है. I'll just leave the question. Then I'll feel which question. This is a question. This is a question which I can do in round 3. Centuries old, Siddhas, etc. I'll do in 3rd round. Kalari Pet will do later. Okay. Next is Manganyar later. This question, no seed, national seeds policy. Okay, because it's a no statement, probably I may want to just think about it later. Then animal welfare board, tiger conservation, chaired by. This is a question, surely round 3 question, and I think that's all. So let's see how many questions do we have in round 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18 questions, and I think we were at 50 questions then, right? So 68 questions, and in this round, because we have done questions which we were comparatively more comfortable in, I'm assuming out of 18 questions, we would be doing at least 12 to 13 questions correctly. Right? So we were at 84 marks then, and 12 to 13, like we will be clearing 90-95 odd marks in the cutoff. So we should be passing the paper at this stage. Now we are in a pretty comfortable position. Next, when you most of the questions which are left are one statement questions. So here your skill with one statement question, the random one statement questions will come into play. And now the more the information given in the options, the higher the chance that you will be able to solve the question. The lesser the information or history related terms based question, those kind of questions have got lesser chance actually to solve. These kind of questions which have more information, they have a higher chance of being solved. So 4th round, just look for these kind of questions, and whatever you can do, just mark it. So the point is, now we are reaching that limit of whether you are in a comfortable position, how many more questions do you want to do it. 4th round perhaps is the round which you all may go through, but later on, beyond this, is a round which you have to be very careful. Maybe you don't want to get into the 5th round at all. It depends on what is there in the paper. So I didn't approach the paper with any fixed number in mind. I just approached it with an open mind, and I didn't do it subject wise. I went for just going for the question which gives me good vibes, and I did that first, and then only like subsequently the more difficult ones. So that's what I wanted to share in this video. Do let me know what you felt about it, if it added value to your preparation or not, and I will be tagging the questions also in the ET channel. And just overall, this video was actually just to show you one of the ways in which you could attempt the paper. The other ways is you may go for subject wise also. If some subject, like of course some subjects would be strong, some subjects would be weak, just start questions from that particular subject. Just flip through the paper and see if the questions are congregated. If the questions are given subject wise collectively, you can do it subject wise also. That's a great thing. If the questions are like spread across, like everything is a mess in terms of the subjects of the question, then I don't think like it's that worthy of just flipping through the pages and try to look for your subject. It's just easier to go from the first question to the last one, but then of course go only for the easier questions first, right guys? So that is all from my side in this video. Do let me know what you feel about it, and if anything else you need any help from me of this kind, do let me know, and I'll try my best to help you out with that. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye bye.